guys, it's Malia and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another round of Waitress horror stories to tell you, and this one is a good one. So you're gonna want to go ahead and get some popcorn, some chips, some cookies, some crackers, whatever you want to snack on, or get your dinner all set, because this is a juicy one. This is the story time. A food allergy went horribly wrong and I was responsible. This lady had extreme allergies, diabetes, a bunch of things wrong, and she told me what to look out for, and this is the story of how it went down from when she stepped into the restaurant until she left. So if you want to go ahead and hear this story, go ahead and stay tuned. Like this video because I hope you liked it, and subscribe to be a part of my journey here on YouTube right down below. And let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my backstory. I always give a backstory. So this day I had clocked in and it was going good. As a server, I feel like there's a good busy and a bad busy. A good busy is like I'm making money, I'm on top of it. I do have a lot going on, but I'm on top of it. And the bad busy is like, okay, I'm steps behind where I want to be. This leaves room for error. I gotta be careful, like I'm losing my mind here and trying to keep up with the multitasking. This night was a good busy. I was on top. I had a lot of tables, a lot of parties going on, I was being pulled in a lot of directions, but I was on top of it. My pacing was good. It seemed like it was gonna be a good night. And then the night like slowed down for a second, so like went ahead and let certain people go home. And so that now there was empty sections. And I don't know, like, again, this was a while ago. I don't know exactly all the missing pieces, but eventually I got sat with a party. So I want to say I got sat in my section of party, less than 10, I want to say 7 or 8. And then after I got them all set, they had their food. Everything was good in the hood over there. Everything was good over there. I got sat with another party, and this party was going to be outside, and I wasn't supposed to be outside, but the person that went outside had gone home. So I was picking up a party out there too. They were pretty cool, all nice people. It was gonna be a good night. And then I had like started my party outside. I got them drinks. I was about to go take their food order, and a couple walks in. And literally when this couple walks in, I see servers running. And I'm like, who is this couple? Like, I'm thinking, are we about to be inspected? Who are these people, and why is everyone moving differently now that they're in the restaurant? And I saw some servers go straight to the host and say, don't seat me with them. Like, don't put them in my section. And then I saw other people running to the managers like, who's gonna take that table? Like, I don't wanna take it. I took it last time. And I'm like, what is going on? But I just got sat. So I'm like, okay, I don't think they're coming my way. I have 2 parties. That's normally busy enough. Like, they don't keep seating you. And then my manager comes up to me and was like, hey, are you good to take a couple, 2 people? And I was like, and he's like looking at my section. He's like, they could sit right there. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, but what's up with them? Like, what's everyone screaming about? What's everyone freaking out about? And he was like, she's given some people some difficulties. She has these allergies that sometimes she has these allergies when she comes in. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she says the food's gonna kill her, sometimes she doesn't, just kind of a hit or miss on how she's gonna act that day. And she was like, my manager was basically just telling me like, take this table, I'm gonna help you in the back house with this table, or the back of the house, so I wanna make sure I know what she's ordering so I can check her food and make sure everything comes out right, but you just need to take the table. And I was like, okay. And I was like, can I go ahead and get my other party's food into the system so I can focus on this table, since it sounds like they're gonna need a lot of focusing? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. So I get my other party settled. The first party's doing fine. The parties were never the issue. And then I go and I greet my table. They sat the 2 people. And I go and greet them and I'm like, hi, my name is Malia. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I go ahead and get you started with something to drink? I was just trying to get straight to it, right? And they were super nice. Husband and wife, real calm, chill start, okay? They were just like, hi, oh my God, thank you, you know, small talk, whatever. And then she talked to me for a second. She told me what her husband did for a living. She told me that, like, about the grandkids, you know, she gave me the whole 411. And then she eventually asked, she was like, she didn't ask, she was like, I just want to let you know this so that you know from the start, I have severe allergies and I can't have certain foods, and I'm also diabetic. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure my manager knows and the staff in the kitchen knows, so they know like what to keep off of your plate and everything to make sure that you get your food properly. Don't worry, like the managers and me will be on top of this. Don't worry about it. And then she was like, okay, good. And then she was like, I've had 97 tracheotomies and 97 what? I watched Grey's Anatomy. I was like, isn't the tracheotomy when they like cut your throat open? That would leave a scar? And she's like grabbing her throat like, oh, so many tracheotomies. I'm gonna make myself red because I just scratched myself. But she's like grabbing her throat and I'm looking for a scar and I don't see any scar. And I was like, oh, well, we don't want any more of those, so don't worry. That's not gonna happen here tonight. And then she's like, good, good, good. And she's like, okay, so the drinks, let's get started on the drinks. She was like, honey, what do you want? And he orders his drink. He doesn't have any allergies. She's like, oh, he's fine, he can have whatever. And then she orders hers and she was like, do you have diet lemonade? And sorry, little backtrack, forgot a detail. She was like, we've been here a lot, so like we're very familiar with the menu. We know what we can get, what we're allowed to eat, what we can't eat. And I was like, okay, good, good, good. She was like, do you have diet lemonade? And I was like, oh, no, we don't. Our lemonade's made with real sugar. And then she was like, okay. And then she's just like looking at him, looking at the table, looking at the menu, like that, you know, like. And I'm like, is there anything else I can get for you? I was like, we have this, da, da, da. I was like, we have iced tea, it's not sweetened. And then she was like, you know what? Tonight's a special night, we're celebrating. Go ahead, I want the lemonade. And I was like, didn't we just say that we had diabetes and like all these bad things have happened to us? We're just gonna disregard that? And then she was just like, yeah, let's do the lemonade. And I was like, okay, well, can I offer you any appetizers to get you started? And then she was like, you guys still do the bread and butter? And I was like, yeah, we do. And then she was like, okay, yeah, we'll take two of those, like one each. And I was like, okay. I was like, just to let you know, our bread is like a honey loaf, so there's a lot of sugar in the bread. Just a little heads up for you. And then she was like, we've been here a lot. Yes, we're regulars. We know all about the bread. And I was like, okay. So at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna shut up until she tells me that she's not allowed to have something. Like, I tried to give her all the warnings. I told her what stuff was made with, and she proceeded. So then I bring her the lemonade. I bring them their bread and butter. I tell my boss what they ordered, what she said, and he was like, yeah. I'm tending to my other parties, giving them time to look over the menu. They said they were regulars. She said she already kind of knew what she wanted to eat, so I didn't give them a lot of time. Like, I was just like, dropped it off, went around, came back, and she goes, oh, I see you have a specials menu. And I was like, oh yeah, like the specials right now are this combo, da da da, telling her about the specials. And she said something. She was like, oh, this one looks yummy, da 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 da. And then she was like, but I can't have this, this, and this. And she's like, she couldn't have pepper. She couldn't have any dairy. And she couldn't have something else. She told me these three things. It was one was pepper, one was dairy, and then I can't remember what the last one was, but she was like, I'm definitely allergic. And she was, oh, peanuts, or it was some type of nut allergy. And I was like, okay, I can get you a menu and it tells you exactly like what's in everything and any cross-contamination, all that, the sauces. And then she was like, no, we don't need that, we don't need that. And then she was like, what's in this one? And I was like, oh, the mac and cheese, like it's cheese, dairy cheese, and lobsters in it. And then she was like, oh, that sounds delicious. And so she's like, that's the steak and lobster special. And I was like, that's one of the options. The other one, you can get like a fried lobster tail or a steamed one. Da, da, da. I was just explaining the specials to her. And then she was like, we're gonna go with that lobster mac and cheese one. And then I was like, okay, and that comes with a steak too, a small steak. How would you like that cooked? And she was like, she said how she wanted it cooked. And then she said, no seasoning, none. She just wants the meat on the grill. And I was like, okay, no problem. She said that that's some of those seasonings are things that like spikes her allergies. She can't have any of that. I write it down in big bold letters. She does the mac and cheese and she does one other side or whatever. I get his order and I go in and I take it to the back to put it into the system. Tell my manager's on top of it. He goes and tells the chef, boom, boom, bum. I bring out the food, or no. Backtrack. Sorry, I need to like bullet point this. So then I'm walking around and I'm cleaning up my other tables. Parties have left, giving them refills on their table, all that good stuff. I'm just walking around and she flags me down. She's like, oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you this. And then she was like, I need all my food cut up for me, okay? And I was like, that's not like a strange request. People ask that all the time. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I gotta tell you this story. And I was like, okay, story time. And she was like, last time I was responsible for cutting up my food, I thought I'd cut it up, but my hands and my arthritis, I couldn't get it cut up real small, and I felt bad. I didn't want to interrupt my husband's meal. And she was like, we were at Olive Garden just down the street and I just choked right there on their floor. I was just choking and they laid me down and I was turning blue in the face. Lips were blue. I thought that was gonna be the last time I saw my little husband, like whatever his name was, little Tommy, little Bob, whatever. And she was like, I thought that was gonna be the last time I ever saw him. And the waitress laid me down and she took my knife and she slit my throat right there on the Olive Garden floor in front of all the guests to see and saved my life, performing an emergency tracheotomy. What am I supposed to do with this information? I was like, oh no. We don't want that to happen here. I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen here. We're gonna have the chef cut it all nice and small for you, okay? No problem, no big deal. I want everyone to enjoy their meal. Really trying to bounce back and just like get out of that conversation. And I don't want it to sound like I was being insincere and this woman had all these experiences and went through all these things, but she's been to the restaurant that I worked at multiple times. And within those multiple times, the allergies change. All of a sudden, she can eat the things that she said she was gonna die from. She tells everyone that she's died 7 times before. All these tracheotomies, not one scar on her throat. And you'll understand a little bit more why she does this at the end of the story, but you gotta stay tuned, stay to the end. But I'm not just like, oh my God. It's like facts that she says, I'm allergic to shrimp, and then the next time she comes in, gets the coconut shrimp. Like, it's like that. And so then I go to the back and I tell them, okay, she needs her food cut up. She said that if it has any pepper on it, she'll like die on the floor here too. And if it's not cut up small enough, she'll die on the floor. And then he was like, well, I don't want her thinking that I can promise her 0 pepper. My manager was just like, should I? Apparently before, the manager's like, well, I can't promise that it has 0 pepper on it. We need you to sign this liability thing so that we say that there could be cross-contamination and that, like, you know, you're signing off on eating it. And she refused to sign it. Like, there's just been things that happened with her at that restaurant. So I'm like, okay, we're not gonna have you choke and die here. We're finally to me bringing out the food. I bring out the food and I drop it off for them. And she was like, oh, it looks great. And I like said like, oh, her husband's like baked potato or something was gonna be right out. I just couldn't carry all the plates, right? And then she was like, oh, and my lobster tail, right? My lobster tail's coming out. And I was like, oh, the lobster tail is like in the mac and cheese. It's a lobster mac and cheese. It's all together. And I had explained that earlier to her. I was like, it's mac and cheese with lobster in the mac and cheese. And then she was like, but I got the lobster and steak deal. And I said, yes, and we have different versions of that deal, and you got the mac and cheese one. And then she was like, I can't have dairy. Why would I have gotten the mac and cheese one? ma'am, I don't know, but I reassured you that it was mac and cheese, it had dairy in it, and the lobster was inside of it. And you were certain that that's the one you wanted. And then she was like, it's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I took my medicine this morning. And I was like, if you can't eat this, let me get you something else. And then she was like, it's okay. And she like vigorously dunks her fork in and starts eating. And I'm like, and I go and I tell my boss that she was freaking out that it had dairy and that she's allergic to dairy and that she's lactose. And she was expecting a lobster tail and she didn't get the lobster tail. Again, just updating him on everything that's happening so that he knows what's happening at the table. And then I'm walking by and I'm trying not to go straight to that table. Like I'm like doing stuff at other tables. And she flags me down. She was like, I'm sorry, sweetie. I wanted to have a great experience here tonight, but this is the blandest steak I've ever had. Well, you ordered a steak with no seasoning. 0 seasoning. You just wanted the steak on the grill on your plate, cut up. I don't know what flavor you thought you were gonna get. Like, I was very confused. She was like, I just wanted to let you know that. And she was like, and have any update on my lobster tail? And I was like, do you want a lobster tail? Do you want it steamed or fried? Like, which one did you want? And then she was like, I want my lobster tail. I was like, steamed or fried? Like, those are the options. And she was like, the one that I got last time. And I was like, I didn't serve you last time. And she was like, steamed. And then I go and I told her I have to take the mac and cheese and I'll get you the lobster tail. And then she was like, I want to finish the mac and cheese. And I was like, okay, so I'll just charge you for a lobster tail on the side. I was like, because you can't, I have to give you one or the other or charge you for both if you have both. And she was like, but that's what I ordered in the first place. We thought we already discussed this. Like, she was just so lost and she was trying to get me confused in my own words about the lobster tail. And so then I tell my boss goes out and was like, ma'am, we can either get you a lobster tail and charge you for the extra lobster tail, or I can take the mac and cheese away and replace it with the lobster tail. Which one did you want to do so that you can enjoy some lobster tonight? And then she was like, I want my lobster tail, but I want my mac and cheese. I already ate half of my mac and cheese. What are you going to do with it? And then he was like, okay, so I'm just going to add that on the side for you, okay? And he was like, right now we're having a deal. It's like $6.99. And then he's like just going to walk away. And she's just huffing and puffing. And at this moment, she decides to start fake choking. And again, I'm not trying to accuse her of anything, but she was faking. The same way when a baby cries because it knows it will get a reaction out of people is what she was doing. She was coughing, and then as soon as my boss asked her a question, she had air to be able to speak calmly. And then he upset her in some way by saying she couldn't have it that way. And then she would continue to choke. And she's like, all this. My dog thought I was choking. I'm okay. So she begins choking loudly, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And my boss was like, take her some water and I'll have her lobster tail out in a second. The husband, the whole time, he was very chill. He would tell me all these stories that like I didn't need to know, but like his weren't anything as close to hers. But now when I go off and drop off the water, she was like, I'm just not feeling well. She was like, I can't breathe. He doesn't have my medicine. Her husband didn't have her medicine. She was like, I think I'm gonna have a panic attack. And then we're like, oh, like I was like, here's some water to help you calm down, make you feel a little bit better, help everything go down right. I don't know what to say. I'm not a doctor. Like I don't know. And she's just, oh, she was like, are you gonna be able to get everything worked out with my bill properly? And I was like, I'm gonna see what I can do for you, okay? And then I offer him a box because it looked like he was packing up, and I bring out her lobster tail. And she eats that, and she finishes the mac and cheese, and she doesn't touch the steak really. And then she asks for dessert. Again, she's lactose intolerant, and she's gonna get our chocolate dessert with ice cream. I tell her it has ice cream in it. I was like, that's a vanilla ice cream with a chocolate brownie. And then she was like, sounds great. Again, we're celebrating. I was like, okay, sounds good. It wasn't a birthday or anything. She was like, they were celebrating a business move or something. And so then I bring it out, and she was like, oh, more dairy. I don't know how I'm gonna make it home. And I'm like, she wants me fired, she wants me killed. Like, I don't know what this is. I keep explaining word for word what is in things that matches up with her allergies, and she just seems to not care. She eats it, she puts it away, it's gone. This is my last table. Mind you, I've been cut for probably an hour, so that means I don't have to take any more tables. As soon as my tables are done, I can leave. So I'm just waiting on that table to leave. And I've tried to give them all my patience. The servers around me definitely didn't want to do that. Like, they'd had their share, and I was trying to be patient and just get them in and out of there. And she asked for the bill, and I bring her the bill, and it gives her 50% off of her lobster tail and charges her her full meal for her food, like the mac and cheese, the lobster mac and cheese, and the steak. And she goes, oh, there's some problems here. And I was like, oh, what's wrong? And then she was like, what's the $3.99 for the lobster tail? Wasn't that included in the meal? And I was like, remember you got the lobster tail with mac and cheese and that was the meal? And then we added one on the side for you, since you wanted to keep the mac and cheese. And she was like, that's not what your manager said. Your manager said it was on the house, so you should go get him. And I go and get him, and I tell him, she said that you said it was on the house, And he was like, nope, told her it wasn't on the house. And just tell her that that's final, that's what we're gonna do for her, and that's all we can do. I said, that's all he said he can do. He said he gave you the 50% off, and he went ahead and gave you 50% off your dessert tonight, okay? And then she was like, and she knocks over her water. She knocks her fork and knife off the table, and she grabs the chair like next to her and is like leaned back, just, and I'm like, oh my God. And she starts gasping for air, and like the people in the bar looking, people in the tables behind her looking. She was like, oh, I just can't ever go out to eat and enjoy myself. I can't tell what this is. It might be. And she starts naming all these things that are potentially wrong with her. And I'm just like, oh my God. And the husband just is like, is there anything else you can do? Are you sure? And I was like, I'm sorry, sir, that's all we can do. And I said, would you like a box? And she was like, get your manager over here right now. I didn't even eat the steak. He can have the steak back. Just don't charge me for the steak. And we were like, oh ma'am, like it's not all here. Like, you didn't, that can't do that for you just because you didn't like the steak the way it was cooked for you because of your instructions. Like, you didn't bring that up in the beginning, not just take it off my bill now. And she was just very upset by the whole thing. They ended up paying, leaving. The husband was like, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you did. And they tipped me like, they tipped me okay. They didn't like take it out on me, but they didn't like tip me the way they put me through everything. Well, there's no complaints. I honestly think that is like a table that every new that's like a table that every new server has to take like under their wing. Like, okay, this table's known for being complicated. Let's see if you can handle it. I felt like I was being put up for the test. I guess it went smoothly. It went all right. She didn't die at the restaurant, but she definitely tried to milk it. And it seemed like she's always been trying to milk it to get a free meal, and it never comes out that way. You can't just do that. You can't make things up along the way. Servers take down your order and write it down, and they read it back to you almost as their own receipts, so that if something gets said differently later, that you said the server said something different, that's kind of like their receipt. So that was my receipt, and I went back and I said, hey, I told her that this was the mac and cheese deal, has dairy. I wrote down we were not going to do any seasoning, we're going to cut it up for her. So I had all that communication with my boss to try to make it as smooth of a night for her. I gave her all the knowledge that I had on the foods that she was about to eat, and it seemed like it just didn't matter. That was my experience with food allergies. Be careful as servers, because again, if these food allergies are very real, you have someone's life kind of in your hands, and just making sure that everyone in the kitchen, all the staff knows that this person can't have that, so that there's no misunderstandings and nothing, so that food doesn't get taken out to them that has the wrong things on them that could potentially hurt them. So just be careful with that. If you're ever dealing with a food allergy, I think any boss would like to know that. Keep your bosses informed. At the end of the day, you're a server, and there are people above you that can help you, and so that you don't feel like all that's on you, and you just don't want someone having a reaction to something be your fault. So always keep someone informed on that and just try to have patience with every table. I hope you learned something from hearing my crazy experience with a horrible food allergy that just went wrong the whole time. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to be part of my journey here on YouTube, and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Comment down below what you guys want to see next or what you thought of today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Thanks.